anywhere in Ohio to receive a library card. Okay. If you don't have a Hudson Library card right now, you can get an e-card without stepping a foot in our building, and I'll show you that. For the last 10 years, the Hudson Library has received from the Library Journal a 5-star ranking based on our services, collection, and everything we do. That puts us in one of the top libraries, not only in the state of Ohio, but actually in the top 1% of libraries in the entire United States. And that's something we're very proud of. We are very much more than just books. A lot of people think libraries are just books. We are not. We are many things. And one of our things is we really do like to provide specialized services to different interest communities. So hopefully you'll kind of see that. If you don't have a library card already, it's very easy to get one. You can just visit our website here at hudsonlibrary.org, go to the Check It Out page and hit Get a Library Card. And from right here, you can browse information. Like I said, you just need to live in Ohio. And then right down here, we have information on an e-card. You just fill this form out. And within one business day, you'll have an email that has your library card number. And this library card number allows you to access all of our databases and digital resources that have remote access. For job seekers, all of our databases, except one that I'll mention at the end named Hoover's, which is very similar to what I'm going to demonstrate tonight, but has international scope. So if you're thinking outside the United States, that all of our other databases, though, can be accessed from home or anywhere you want on the go. Okay. And also tonight, if you do have questions, please just use the chat. They'll be popping up as we talk. So I'll go through and answer things. So that way, if I kind of skip over something, I'll make sure that I answer everything. All of our information, though, so once you do have a library card and you want to access this on your own tonight or after tonight, you just visit our website again, hudsonlibrary.org. And under the Research It tab, if you hover over this, we have this like very large list. Now we have over 100 different resources for all different user groups. It's a bit of a busy list. I wouldn't recommend using this, but we have right here, it says job resources, and you can use this category, or you can use our business category. They're pretty much the same list to be able to access a more curated list of resources that are available for you. And so here are our premium resources, and we also have some other resources that are vetted by our librarians, both current and past, that will be very useful. And I saw in the beginning of the presentation, we have a variety of different people in different points of their career, whether they're underemployed or they're just looking for a new job or they're looking for something new completely. So everyone I know has their own different needs. And so that's why I won't spend too much time on these. But if you feel that maybe there's something you would be interested in, like maybe more professional development, people are always looking to shape up like their Microsoft Excel skills, because if you know Microsoft Excel, that's always a great way to have a boost on a resume. We have lots of resources on here that can teach you things, help you with different steps in your job career. However, tonight we're going to focus on ReferenceUSA. ReferenceUSA is a directory and list building tool. It started in 1998 and it was rebranded in 2020 as Data Axle Reference Solutions. And it is on here, right here, ReferenceUSA. We do keep it as the old name primarily, because again, most people know it as this name. It's used both by job seekers, it's used by people interested in finding a doctor. It's also used just as white pages, and it's used a lot for small businesses to target marketing, whether it's mail marketing or even telephone marketing. So we just click on this. And I've already logged in. If you are logging in for the first time, this is where it would ask for your library card information. Sometimes there'll even be a little pop-up saying you're in the right place, because again, people are still unsure of the new name and they're not really sure if this is ReferenceUSA, but it is. Now, ReferenceUSA is comprised of, as you can see, 10 different databases. These are 10 different collections, and they're all updated on their own scheduled timetable. So we have US businesses. This is what we're going to focus on tonight. It includes 94 million business records across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. There's also a specialty Canadian businesses section if you're just interested in Canadian businesses. There's also, this is really good, a new business So if you've already been running reports and it's been some time, you can focus on newer companies. So these are companies that are that have been established within the last 6 months. So the first 6 months of a company after it's been founded, it will be in this list. So it's kind of nice so that way you're aware of what is new out there. It seems silly because we have cell phones and stuff like that now, but there are still people who like to use the white pages and find information on individuals. So they do have the white pages as well as the Canadian white pages. There is the U.S. Historical Businesses Database. This includes businesses that are no longer in operation. So if you're maybe worked for a company and they're no longer around anymore, but you're trying to connect with somebody and you want to know a name, you can use the U.S. Historical Business to find information about companies, where they were located, and the key contacts. This can be very useful. For example, my first college jobs, it actually did close down when the owner had a divorce. And so I actually used this to access some information about them when I needed it for a resume update once I had graduated college. ReferenceUSA also works with Indeed. So they do have a partnership with Indeed to post public job postings. Now, obviously, not every job of opening is publicly announced. And I'm sure that's something the Hudson Job Search teaches. ReferenceUSA also brags about that there are many jobs opportunities out there that do not have a public posting. However, if it does have a public posting through Indeed, there is a listing directly through here that you can search. They're also attached to the business profiles themselves, and we'll see that in a few moments. If you're interested in your own personal life, you can also research your own doctors, physicians, and hospitals. Know what kind of background your doctor has, and how much education they've had, things like that, through the U.S. Healthcare Database. And the last two databases I'm not going to touch on. They're more for small businesses, but again, you can find lists of U.S. consumers. So for example, if we have dog lovers in the chat tonight, you can build a list of all of the dog lovers in your neighborhood. Maybe you have a dog walking business, and that way you can have targeted marketing for them. Similarly, the U.S. New Movers and Homeowners targets a list of people who have purchased a home and recently moved in within the last year. So again, let's say you had a landscaping company or you were a plumber and you wanted to target and find new customers. That's how you can build lists and send mailers. So if you've ever received those in the mail, that's how they get your information. You can also create a personal account login that will save your searches, which can be very useful if you build a very highly detailed search. That way you don't have to remember all those details later on, and I'll show you how easy that is right here. But once you log in, it will save everything for you, so you can just run searches again in the future. Another great thing too, if you like mobile devices, Reference Solutions is available on a mobile device. You can download the app through the Google Play or the Apple App Store, whichever kind of phone you have, and that will work as well. So if you want something truly on the go, you can use that. Okay, so we are going to focus tonight's presentation on the U.S. Businesses Database, which is right here. And I'm going to go ahead and just click on U.S. Businesses. Now, there are two methods of finding and building targeted lists. The targeted list will obviously be multiple businesses. However, each company on your targeted list has a full profile full of really valuable information that can give you a really eye-opening picture of what this company looks like, okay? And before we start building a targeted list, I'd like to just show you what type of information this company collects about different companies. So we're Hudson Job Search. We're going to look at one of Hudson's largest companies, and that's Jo-Ann Fabrics. Oh, me. I'm going to type Jo-Ann, and I'm just going to search Hudson. Okay. And so searching Jo-Ann in Hudson, Ohio, I know the corporation is the Jo-Ann Stores LLC right here. And you can see we have already an executive's name right here, an address where they're located, a contact telephone number for the company. And we'll talk a little bit more about here because I noticed from the introductions tonight, a number of you are still thinking with like larger companies in mind. If it is a publicly traded company and there's a corporate tree, so there's an ownership hierarchy, you can investigate who the owning company or the parent company is, as well as any of the smaller companies affiliated. I'll go ahead and click on Joann's stores. So again, this is going to be for the corporate, not just like a one retail location. So when it comes to the corporate Joann, at the top, we have information about the location, where it's located, the phone, the fax. Right here, you'll see there's this little green V that says it's a verified record. What that means is ReferenceUSA has mailed a postcard or picked up the phone and called Joann, and they spoke with somebody and they verified. Every year, someone contacts every company that's in this database and verifies the information that is still current, that the business is still around, and updates some of the pertinent information that it can share. If the business chooses, and for some industries, this is very important to know. I heard a couple people in the introductions mention like content, like filmography, digital marketing. There are some industries that are less responsive to these surveys. I just want you to be aware of that. It doesn't mean that they're not interested in hiring you. It doesn't mean that they aren't even in business. It just means they don't respond to their mail. And from working with small businesses now for a few years, I have found that there are some industries that tend to be more habitual in this. So just be aware of that. But you can still find those records, and there's still a lot of information available, even if they don't respond to the survey, okay? So we have some information here. We have some contact. If there's a website that's known, the website will be right here as well. Again, I mentioned earlier about the Indeed jobs. So if there are jobs, they would be listed right here in the Indeed section. This next section is really important, and I'll take a little bit of time after I show you this profile to explain what these mean. But these are going to be really useful and important when you build your targeted list. And that is the assigned industry codes for this particular company. Now, these industry codes are selected by the company themselves, so it can be a little off the wall sometimes. However, the numbers have a very important meaning. There are two major industry classification numbers here in the United States. There's the SIC code, which stands for Standard Industry Classification. It's a United States only number. And then we have a NAICS code. A NAICS code stands for North America Industry Classification System. This one was started when NAFTA was formed and includes the United States, Canada, and Mexico. They're slightly different, as you can see. However, they are very useful when you build your targeted lists. Each company can have multiple codes also. My great example of demonstrating this is, think of a bowling alley. So when you go to a bowling alley, someone might be going there to play the sport, right? They're going there to actually bowl. However, most bowling alleys have some type of a concession stand or snack bar or something like that. So a bowling alley normally will have at least two codes associated, one for the bowling and one for the eatery, right? The snack bar. However, there's something that is a primary function, what it does more than the other. More people go to the bowling alley for the bowling than necessarily just for a snack bar. So the bowling aspect is the primary function. If a company has multiple codes associated with it, it does need to have a primary one, what it conducts most of its activities. Okay, so that's why we have a little primary right here. If you find when you're building lists that you're receiving a lot of things that don't quite fit in the ballpark of what you are truly searching for, you can hone in and only search these codes, these SIC and NAICS codes, based on the primary purposes. Okay, so that can be very useful to remember. All right, moving down. Some businesses will have a biographical profile that explains what they do, maybe how long they've been around, things like that. If I expand this section, it will include photos of their maps, where they're located, directions. This box to me though is the gold box. And this is the business demographics box. So this tells you how many people are currently working for this company. Um, and also if it's a corporation, it will also then list how many corporate employees are there. It will also include if this business is publicly traded or if it's a private company. And that's very important when we're dealing with these profiles and these lists. If it's a publicly traded company, obviously due to disclosure, when it lists things such as sales volumes and expenditures, those are publicly related because the company has to release that data. If it's a private company, we do have something called trade secrets, which means the company does not necessarily have to reveal how much it makes in sales. However, ReferenceUSA has kind of a back end algorithm, I'm going to call it that, and they are able to estimate some of those categories. I have worked with some small businesses that have looked up their own companies and seen the profile, and we're like, how did they know that? Which means that they were right on the target. I've also had some small businesses that have looked up and went, that's not it at all. So take it with a grain of salt if it's a private company when it comes down to like how much revenue it generates and things like that. It will also give you information how long this company has been around, what the credit rating is like, which can be really useful for you. As Michael said, maybe some of you are thinking more of stability when it comes to seeking an employer. So maybe the credit rating of your employer is something that would be important for you to make sure that the company is currently, in steady hands, something like that. It will also give you information about the physical space, how large the location is, as well as the hours of operation. Now, from a marketing networking perspective, this next section may be very useful for most of you, especially those of you who are very strong with LinkedIn, building connections and contacts on LinkedIn, trying to find those doorways, so that you can start having introductions and meeting other people. And this is the management directory for the company. So most of these will include at least one person, and that's going to be either this, the owner or the head manager. But the larger the company is, the more names are going to be included. So it does include the name of the individual as well as their title. Now, sometimes people ask, well, is their email address included? And unfortunately for library subscriptions of ReferenceUSA, it does not include their email address. However, you can easily take this information and you can see if there's an email address available on the company's website, or you can go ahead and, like I said, if you're using LinkedIn or some other way of networking, you can then start seeking out that way as well. And so they actually have a pretty extensive one. So we have all these people. We even have board members. If there's company news, it would be right here. If they are on the stock exchange, with Joanne, that's a little complicated right now, so we're not going to talk about that. But if that was the case, that would also be here. And again, we have the business expenditures over here, so how much they are spending in different things. For some people who are job seekers, a key one you may want to be looking at is how much are they spending in payroll, right? So especially when you're looking at these smaller companies or medium companies, that might be a very key decision for you to look at and see how much they are spending in different categories right there. If you like to be more a visual learner, which I am, I like to see how things have changed over time. And so you can actually track how their sales and employees have changed over time. And this can be really useful. Maybe a company had a huge spike and it exploded both in growth, both of sales and personnel. Or maybe something has happened and it's caused the company to shrink back quite dramatically. That can happen as well. If the company has gone through a number of ownership changes, and that can include both business name changes as well as just key ownership, there's a business history list right here. So it will tell you if like the company has like moved locations, if the executives have changed, as well as a name change. I've worked with some people who have like looked at competitors and their competitor has changed names like quite regularly, or the company has kind of gone through like a number of hands, kind of like a hot potato. So that might be useful. Again, as a job seeker, I like stability. I like knowing something is going to be around. So I like seeing something like this if it's been pretty similar. The UCC site filings, this would be, this shows you essentially like kind of like loans on behalf of the company. So it's more of a credit thing. I'm not going to go into that too much. But another thing, the last thing I want to point out though is down here, we do have physical businesses that are nearby. But for job seekers, what you may be interested in are the competitors reports. So these are companies identified by ReferenceUSA to be very similar to the company you're looking at right now. And it's going to be both in size of sales as well, partially as location too. So it's both geographic, but it's also kind of similar in what you are doing. So if you find a company that you're kind of interested in, but you want to see maybe what else is out there, look at their competitors, because maybe their competitors might be another opportunity for you, or at least another avenue to explore. And each one of these are hyperlinks. So I don't need to go and type in Carol's Fabric Shop. I can just click on this and then I can go to her, well, not her, but to the company's, to Carol's profile right here. And as you can see, like this, we are in yet a different profile. Okay. And this is a much smaller one with only one employee. Okay. And so, all right. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and go back. And so that's the basic anatomy of a profile. Each one has their own profile. You can view these profiles as they are. They are easily printable. If there's like, for some reason, you maybe want to hold on to the profiles of companies you plan on interviewing. Maybe it could be useful in your interview prep, knowing a little bit more about the company. You can easily do that. You can also download the records, but normally we download the records as a list, and that's what we'll do next if there's no questions yet. Okay, I don't see any yet. So I'm going to go back to the homepage of ReferenceUSA, go back to the business search, and to find Joanne's, I use this quick search box. So again, this is really useful if you have a key company in mind that you're already wanting. Maybe there's someone that you've already been investigating, or they can also be useful if you really don't know where to start in terms of building your list and like the industry codes and things like that. I've recommended people like look up a company that they're already looking at and then use those SIC and NAICS codes when building their search to find other companies. But if you want to build a list and you want multiple companies all at once, the easiest way to do that is through the advanced search. And so the advanced search tab, you click on it and it opens, looks like this. And so it's this large dashboard. It's completely customizable to anything and everything you've been thinking of and what you are looking for as a job seeker. So to begin, as you can see, I'm going to break this down for you. Over here on the left-hand side is our very large filter tab. And this is where we're going to be able to filter, omit, or include things, key aspects of these companies that we are looking for. So we can build our specific targeted list, because each one of us tonight is looking for something very different. In the middle section, as we select something from the left, it will add a widget box in the middle. And from there, we go ahead and we enter our parameters. And then as we add things, it's going to change this number over here on the right. Now, it starts with a default of about 18.2 million records. Those are verified records. If you remember, a verified record is someone who responded to the survey, confirming the information about the business. I always recommend starting with the verified records only. You may find that that's enough for you. However, again, if you are in certain industries, especially industries that have a lot of like home-based businesses, I've found, so that includes like marketers, digital marketing, sometimes even with consulting, just so you're aware, you may find that your list is not including everyone. It may even not include companies you're already aware of. And you're like, well, where are those companies? And for that, I would recommend selecting right here in the middle, the unverified businesses. And you'll see it's going to just take a moment. I just want to show you how much that jumps. So that jumps to 94.7 million US businesses. So that's a lot of businesses that are currently, you know, in our country, right? So I'm going to jump back though to the verified only list, just so it's a more manageable number. Okay. So on the left, I'm kind of going to go through these. I do not use all of these. I don't know anyone who uses every filter over here on the left side, but I will explain some of these. So you can go ahead and build a list just based on a company name or a key person's name. So for example, if you were wanting to find every company that a certain person has been affiliated with, you can do that. We also have that over here with the executives' names as well. Where I normally start when building a targeted list, though, is under the section business type. And this is where we have two options. We can build our list using a keyword or a SIC NAICS code, or we can do it based on a major industry group. And again, this depends on what you're doing. If you are interested in things like manufacturing or just a large industry in general, the major industry group search may be more useful for you, just so you're aware. However, for most people, the keyword SIC NAICS search would work best. So if I click on that, it brings up this little widget now here on in the middle. And from here, what I need to do is I need to start entering some industry codes. So that way it knows I'm interested in this industry and not this one. Now, if you are unsure of what your industry codes are, there's a great website out there called siccode.com. And siccode.com is a free browsing tool that has both sets of classification numbers for you. So if you go down here, you can actually start to see how they're broken down into 10 different categories for an SIC code. And if you see the other side, it's broken down way further, right? And if you click on these, it will break down further and further and further until it builds its about 9-digit number that is very specific for your company. So, for example, let's say I'm a dog lover. I just adopted a dog. Let's say I have an interest in pet supplies. Maybe I want to work for pet supplies companies particular. So if I search pet supplies, we actually have SIC codes right here, and then we have the NAICS codes right here, right? So we have everything from the food manufacturing, wholesale, as well as retail establishments. We have support activities. We'll have the SIC code then for veterinarians. We'll have the SIC code for doggy daycares, things like that. And sometimes for some categories, you'll even have an SIC code that's kind of a miscellaneous catch-all. So if you find that you don't have a specific code that matches, you may be kind of in the other category. As you can see, like right here, there's this code 5499, which is miscellaneous food store. So that's one of those like catch-alls that you may find yourself in. Each code actually has a very defined definition of what it includes and does not include, and it kind of gets into the weeds of this a little bit, but it is useful for you to be aware that exists and what those definitions are, just so that you know that you are searching for the very correct industry definition that you're doing. So for example, if I was going to do this code right here, animal specialty services except veterinarian services, it will actually provide a definition for the industry as well. And then you'll see it breaks it down even further into pet training, pet washing, dog training, dog breeders, pet finding services. And then when you click on one of these, it will break it down even further. Okay. So that's how the SIC codes work. If I go back to reference solutions though, I'm gonna go ahead and go back. Go back to the advanced search. And go to keyword. That is where I would type in my number. ReferenceUSA also though does support basic keyword searching as well, and I want you to be aware of that. So for example, if I do, let's see, we'll switch up. Maybe I want to work in the coffee industry. We'll go ahead and search this. Okay. So it does support keyword searching. So if I just type in a keyword, and hit enter, you may find that it's going to bring up relevant industry codes just using your keywords. However, some people really like just using the specific SIC and NAICS codes for their industries, just because it is much more exact. However, I can select as many of these as I want. So for example, we have a coffee shop right here, but maybe I also like to do bakery and retail. I can select as many of these as I want. It adds them to the selected boxes. I can even clear out this search and pick something completely else. Like it could be very random. It could be anything else. Because I heard some people in the introduction mention like numerous industries that they are interested in. So you could build a list that includes multiple industries all in one list if you really wanted. So that could be useful, kind of save some time so you're not having to run like, okay, I'm going to build a list just for this industry, and then I'm going to build a list for this one and for this one. You don't have to. You can include all of those in one list. So let's say maybe why not? I'm a librarian, right? So let's look at libraries as well. Again, I can go ahead and select any of these that are also relevant. So, let's just include consulting. If I go, oopsie, I really don't want to be a library consultant, I can go down here, just click on that and get rid of it. Okay. Over here, you'll see the primaries again. As I mentioned in the bowling alley example, if someone does more than one thing, you only want to focus on the primary objective of that company. You can search based only on primaries. So that could be very useful too. Just click on that box when you search before you run your search, and it's going to limit it to only primary functions. If you know the codes already, you can type the codes in, or you can even just enter them in bulk down here in these little boxes right here. If you only want to enter a portion of the code, remember I said these codes can become like 9 digits long, like you can see right here. This one's 546102. If I only want to enter 54, which is like retail or the service industry, and have it open to everything, I can go ahead and do that. I can just have the first two numbers, and then that will leave it much vaguer. One of the things I do recommend as you're building a list is to keep track of how detailed your list is becoming, how restrictive it's becoming, because sometimes people will put a lot of information in their targeted list and then come back with two results. And maybe those two are really great results, but maybe you want more information than that, more names than that. So to do that, I recommend hitting the blue update button that's right here. You hit that button. And so now we've jumped from 9 million to 81,000 just by selecting just an industry. So you can see how quickly you can really have a targeted narrow list as you're adding more parameters. Now, the next thing, once you settle and narrow down your industries, you're going to want to do a geographic search, right? Unless you're prepared to relocate, or you are absolutely certain that these companies have remote work opportunities, you are probably going to be looking in, career opportunities that are with a certain distance of your home. At least I am. There are no remote work opportunities for librarians. So, for that, we are going to use the geographic search so that we can start to narrow this down geographically based on how far we're interested in traveling. And for that, there are a lot of different ways you can do that. Obviously, if you have a certain city and state you want to do, that's fine. A metro area will allow you to pick a city, but when you do that, it will include all of the other suburbs within that city. So for example, the Akron Metro would include Cuyahoga Falls and Stowe and Hudson. Makes sense. The Cleveland Metro would also include Garfield Heights, Parma, Lakewood. So that could be useful if like you're wanting to head towards a major city, but you're okay with outside that city. One of the things people really like to use when they're thinking about with a job search per se is a radius search, because they want to maybe they're the kind of person they're like, I don't want to drive more than 40 miles from home every day. Maybe they have a limit on how far they were willing to go. And you can use the radius search then to narrow down how far you're willing to travel. So let's do that. So we're going to use the radius search. So if I go down, I just need to put in my zip code. We'll do that for Hudson. And let's say I don't want to drive more than 25 miles to work every day. So I'll put 25. And I hit update count. Now we're to 394. So again, 9 million to 81,000 to 394. Now, So that is those are the first two ways you can really start narrowing your search. And now let's go ahead and start really honing in on specifics that are very important for you. And it can also be very important to save your time as well, because this will include every type of company. And not all companies are employers. There are many non-employer jobs out there, so you do have to be aware of that. So over here in the next section, we do have the business size. So the number of employees, if I click on that box, it will now have me select how many employees I want this company to have. Okay. So one way you can avoid non-employers is you could not select the 1 to 4 employees box, because a lot of times those very, very, very small companies may only be a family-based business or a home-based business, and they may not be interested. So you could just select everything with a certain number of employees up. So we could do that if we wanted. Just click on them. They add them to the box on the right. It's very simple. So especially, again, some of you mentioned very large companies at the beginning. So if you still just want to focus on larger companies, you could do that by just only selecting with a higher employee count. Again, if I hit update records, this now takes it to 282. So now this has removed another 100 from the list. You can also filter by sales volume. I know someone in the introduction said that they were interested in companies with a specific threshold of sales volume. So if you click on that and select that, you can do the exact same thing with this list here, but target your list only based on the sales volume. Now, again, remember though, sales volume is estimated if it's a private company. It will only be factually known if it's a publicly traded company. So just be aware of that. But you can do that as well. If for any time you select something on the left-hand side and then you're like, I don't really want to use it, like this one I'm not going to use, you can just click right here where it says remove, and it removes it. And it's only going to remove that widget, not all the other ones that you've been working on. Okay. Ownership can be very important for some people. Maybe some people are really interested in working with a veteran, minority, or female-owned business. That could be very important for some people. You can go ahead and target and create lists based on that criteria. So that could be very important. Maybe you would like to remove the home-based businesses. So you don't want the business that is run out of, no offense, someone's garage, and it's just them. You can remove them by clicking on home-based business and exclude. And I have found this can be useful, especially again, for some of those industries that are like marketing, web design, like digital content creation. I've also found this very useful to remove these for like consulting positions, because especially if they're like a one-person consultant, you can get rid of those ones, because if they're doing everything themselves, they may not be looking to expand and bring on other people. So you can exclude those. We're probably not going to change our number any. There's no home-based coffee shops. That's okay. But if we did, that would exclude that. If you're interested in working for like in the public sector with government agencies, you can select that and only include then government offices. And also for those of you who are interested, because I saw, again, some of you have mentioned the larger companies, things like that, you can limit this to only include corporations. So like, for example, back to the Joann Fabrics, it will then only include the corporations, or if you're interested in working for a branch, you can select the headquarter branch option. And you can select if you'd like to work for the headquarter, a branch, a single location, or the subsidiary. So that would be your choice and what you'd want to do. You can select any option that's applicable for you that you may be interested in. But again, if you're thinking of a larger company and you're only interested in the headquarters, you can select that. So then that way the smaller locations underneath will not come up in your list. So we have financial options right here. I'm not going to go into those. So it's not really as useful for job seekers. But you can also limit Some last things I just want to mention, you can limit your searches. So if you find that maybe it's still too broad, to include records that only have websites. So that way, if you want to continue your research easily by having the URL for the company, you can also limit if it's on the made the Fortune 1000 list, or you can even limit how long the company has been in existence. So for example, if you're looking for stability, maybe you don't want to work for a brand new company, you can limit, maybe you only want companies that have been around for at least 25 years. You could do something like that. Likewise, maybe you are interested in being cutting edge and working for a new company. Maybe you do like startups or things that are new and breaking. You can limit your search then to just brand new companies, right? Companies that maybe are less than 5 years old. For federal contractors, I didn't hear anything like that in tonight's introductories, but you can limit your search if you're interested. That can be very useful for people who are more like in manufacturing, things like that. And then last but not least, I won't demonstrate them, but we do also have ways to omit. So if you find that you're coming up with things that don't fit your search, you can use like especially the omit keyword technique. So if it is bringing up certain things that are unrelated to your search or do not fit, and you kind of want to clean it up a bit, you can use the omit term so that it removes your stuff. Similarly, you can also omit safe searches. So if you're finding that your searches are overlapping too much, maybe you've run multiple searches, you can have records like companies that have popped up in previous searches, remove them. So then that way you're only coming up with new names. When you're done with your search or when you build a list and you're happy with it, so this one with 282, that's not too bad, I guess. You can go ahead and click the green View Results button. And while that's thinking, it's going to go ahead and build a list. This list is normally, I'm very surprised it started with Starbucks because this list is normally alphabetized by the company name. So if it's not for some reason, you can just click on company name to alphabetize it that way, but normally it does default to ABC order by company name. And then again, this is going to look very familiar with when we search Joann Fabrics, where we have just a very basic information. And again, if you remember, all of these are relevant to, all of these have their own profiles. And you can see we have 12 pages of results right here. If you're interested in like graphs or details or some extra data, you can use some of these tools up top, like the heat map and the charts, to visualize what your results are bringing you. So the heat map will actually show a distribution geographically of like where there's like hotbeds. So maybe there's a hotbed of places in Cuyahoga Falls that you had no idea that matched the criteria for what you're looking for. And you can visually see that on the map. Similarly, the charts will show you and allow you to like break down these different companies by sales size, how many employees they have, things like that. Kind of allows you to visually see everything all at once. That can be useful for some people, but what most people do is they just take this list and they export it into Microsoft Excel. So that way they can have something where they can start marking things down, they can start making notes, they can start eliminating things that don't make sense, and start adding. And likewise, like I said, you can also start using all of these key personnel for networking opportunities. To download the records, you have the ability with the library subscription to download 250 records in a sitting. If you have more than 250 records, what you'll have to do is save your search using the Save Search button up here, run it again, and then you can download 250 more. It's just so they limit it with the libraries. I don't know why they do that, but they do. To download your records, you just click on this little checkbox on the top left. It will select 25 records at a time. Then you just go to the next page and you're just going to repeat this however many times you need to do that, or until you hit 250 records, whichever one comes first. So we'll go ahead and just do like 3 pages worth just to show you. Okay, so we'll just do 3 pages. I just hit download right here. And then we have a couple of different options. It's asking, do you want a CSV file or do you want a Microsoft Excel file? Both work just fine. And then we have a few options about how much data you want to download from all of those profiles. We have the summary, which will just include the key names, address, and information. That might be useful, again, if you're just wanting a name and a place to kind of move from. But there is the detailed, which will take everything from the profile. So if you just want all of it, or the custom report. Custom report can be very useful, again, if you're wanting all of those different executive names, and things like that. So you can really tailor this and pull whatever data you want. Just by going through this list, there's a lot of stuff, as you can see, like management or whatever you would need. You just click on what you want. It brings it over here on the right-hand side. And then when you're done, you hit download records. It downloads it immediately. Go ahead and open this just to show you what it looks like. And here we go. We have our Excel file. So again, this is an abbreviated one because I didn't select a lot of fields. But we have all of these names right here. We have all of these executives. We have all this information. Again, if you're, then this is where you can use your Excel skills to build a really great table. You can start filtering it. You can start making notations. You can start doing whatever you want to do. You can just save this.
Excuse me, Kelsey.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not seeing your Excel file. We're still seeing.
Oh, you're still just seeing that? Okay. Let me, hold on. Can you see it now?
Yes, now we can see it.
Okay. Sorry, the way the screen share worked, it just didn't include that one when I opened it. Okay, so now you can see the Excel file. So again, it includes all of the different categories in the columns. The more, if you take the detailed report, as I showed you, it will just keep going on and on. You would just scroll sideways with every data point that was in those, that are in those profiles. So again, this is where it would be up to you. I've seen people make this into just a table and really apply filters and work on the data. I've seen people use this more as like a legal pad, and they're making all types of notations and like marking it. Is this a candidate? Is this not a candidate? It would really be up to you. Or if you want to just take the names that pop up in these records and go on your way, LinkedIn, try to find contacts, try to find email addresses for the people and work your way that way too. That's also an option. So there's so many different ways and reasons you can use this tool. Last but not least, I want to show you, because I do know we're nearing the time for Q&A. Because your profile, your searches can be so tailored and so custom for you, you might not want to go through all that effort to have to remember your search if you want to run it again, right? Because a job, it's a process. Maybe what you're, maybe one search isn't going to be the search for you. You may have to end up running multiple searches to really build a full comprehensive list of the options and possible opportunities available for you, based on what you want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see, hopefully you can back this data Excel. I hope you can see data Excel again.
Yes.
We're going to go ahead and hit back again. And this is going to take me back to my list view, which has all of my solutions. Now my computer's starting to run slow. If I hit save search right here, this is where you can create a free account, and this will hold all of your information. I'm going to go ahead and sign in very quickly to my library one. All right, I remember my password correctly on the first try. That's great.
Amazing.
And and as you can see, now I'm signed in. I'm going to go ahead and call this Hudson Job Search 2024, just because that's what this is. I'm going to go ahead and give it a name, hit save, and now this is saved. When I go and log in the future, your homepage actually changes. Instead of those 10 databases I showed you at the beginning dominating your main screen, it's actually going to show all of your most recent lists that you have run and saved. So for example, I did this one on construction for a small business client recently. I can run this list again now just at the tap of a button, and it will pull up. So this will include any new companies that now fit, whether there's been an industry code change or they're a new company and they've opened since I've run this last, or for whatever reason, they may now be included. Okay. So that could be very useful.
Great.
And with that said, that is the basics of Reference USA. It's not a difficult tool to use. It's a really powerful tool to use. But the thing is, you really have to start thinking, okay, what do I really look for in a company, especially if you want to open your mind and just be more than Goodyear, Sherwin-Williams? What elements of a company are really important to me? How far away from my house am I willing to travel? Are there those key features like a female or a veteran or a minority-owned business that matter to me? And things like that.
Great, Kelsey, I mean, excuse me. Yeah, great job. I don't know anyone else that could take this much information and present it and do it in an interesting manner. That was great. And I think a few people's eyes are rolling back in their head just because there was a lot of information absorbed in a short period of time. But you're available at the library to assist as well, right?
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. So we actually teach, I teach every 3 months a 2-hour class on these types of databases. This is just one database. We actually do a class though, if you like a group educate, like a group instruction, but I also do one-on-one tutoring and help. So as I mentioned, that's my specialty. You are more than welcome, anyone here tonight, to schedule a time to work with me. I can show you how to use this. When I do one-on-ones, I learn a little bit more about you and I will have things prepared in advance. I will have the SIC and NAICS codes that are relevant for you. So that way, if those are a little intimidating for you, I can go ahead and do that, or I can show you, like, if there are already types of companies that you've been looking for, things like that. I can have those profiles pulled up, kind of show you how this works for you. Because again, everyone's journey is a little bit different, so that is key. And likewise, there are other things too for your, if it's not so much this that you want to know more about, but other library resources, or again, maybe there's some technology questions you may have, because again, everyone may be in a different point and maybe wanting to learn different things that you want to brush up on. There's lots of things we can do, and we are always happy to help. And actually, because most of you do not know me, I'm putting in the chat right now, my email address. And so you can feel free to send me an email at any time. I also have, Michael, if you're okay with that, I have a
Sure.
handout, not on me right now, but I can email you a handout. If anybody would like, that has a visual overview. So if this was a lot of information to kind of digest in one sitting, the handout breaks it down so that way you can, go step by step.
Yeah, and Kelsey, if you just send that to Kim, Kim can send it out with the follow-up that we have to this meeting anyways. That'd be great.
Absolutely. I can send that after the meeting.
Good. Okay, well, thank you for that. And again, thank you for a great job with some really fantastic information that's of tremendous use to a lot of job seekers. Because we're approaching our end here, I'm gonna ask that if you do have questions, take advantage of the offer that Kelsey just made. Get her email, reach out to her. We'll get you the information in her handout. So again, I just can't thank you enough, Kelsey. We've been looking forward to this presentation for a long time, and we really appreciate you doing a great job with it. So many thanks.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, we're glad to have it. Okay, I'm going to go and kind of wrap things up from our end here. So yeah, we're going to hold off on the questions again. Thank you, Kelsey. Look at this group of folks here. Just very excited to see you, and thank you. So again, great job. All right, now I've got a couple of asks for everybody here. First off, we'd like you to take a survey, a poll that we're going to use a QR code for, and just get your phones out, get ready to take a shot of it here. This gives us information on what you think of this presentation, what you'd like to see in future presentations. It helps us make sure that what we're providing is relevant information for you. So take advantage of that. Kim will send out an email following this meeting. It'll share, I'll show you an example of that. And the other thing I want to ask you all to do is if you'd be kind enough to go to our LinkedIn page, our Facebook page, and like, comment, and share on this. This helps us get the word out to other job seekers that we have these services that we can use to their advantage, okay? So let me move on. Here's the QR code. If you'll just take a look at this or just snap it with your phone now, take the survey, just take a couple of minutes to do that. You can take that while I'm continuing to wrap things up here. So hopefully, let me take a peek here. Is there anyone that hasn't gotten that yet? We really like for as many of, for everybody really to participate in this. It really helps us make sure we're doing the right job. Anybody need more time? No, we're good. Good. Speak up now or forever hold your peace. Okay. All right. So you go ahead and do that. I'm going to continue on here. This next slide shows you what the email is going to look like from Kim. She'll give you a link to the recording, list of attendees, link to other job groups and resources, and also give you some information. If you're interested in working with Hudson Job Search, she'll have a form that you can fill out to do just exactly that. Okay, or a link to a form to do all that. So look for that in the next few days. As far as how you can like, comment, or share our posts. Here's our website. If you look in the top right-hand corner, you'll see a Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube logo right there where the bright yellow arrow is. You just click on one of those and you can like and comment and share. To see what's going on next, there's about 13 different job groups in Northeast Ohio. Rather than look at all 13 of those job groups and their websites, if you go to this website here, you can get access to you go to our Hudson Job Search website. There's a tab here, NEO Job Group Calendar. If you click on that, it will bring you a updated calendar of events by the different job groups. Some updated for a longer term than others, but if you look at it on a regular basis, you'll see what's taken place. You can click on that and find out more information about what's available at those different groups, what their topics are, what their meetings are, what times, how to register, and so forth. So if you haven't taken advantage of that, I'd highly encourage you to do that. A lot of good information there. And you can see it either in a list or a calendar format. All right, I always like to leave with a quote of the day and a little bit of silliness. So the quote of the day is, once you replace negative thoughts with positive ones, you'll start having positive results. I think every job seeker needs to keep that in the back of their mind. It's very easy to get frustrated and down, but you got to be positive and throughout this process. That'll make it work for you. And the last thing I want to leave you with is, today is National Coming from the Cold Day. I hope you all, being in Northeast Ohio right now, I think that's a really appropriate day. So, I hope you stayed warm today, and I hope you got a lot out of this meeting. I'm gonna stop my screen share now and see all these smiling faces again. Thank you all for being here. Again, thank you, Kelsey, for a great job with